Welcome to another episode of I'm Dying to Tell You. This is Dr. Mark Goulston. Uh, uh, so far, so good. I'm undergoing treatment, a bunch of side effects, but I'm tolerating them. What I want to share with you today are some parenting tips from my good friend Nolan Bushnell. You may not remember that name or know that name. If you were in Silicon Valley, you would. He was the founder of Atari and Chuck E. Cheese, and he was Steve Jobs' first boss, and he's quite a character. And he gave me some of the best parenting tips I've ever heard. And I'll do my best in Nolan Bushnell imitation. Uh, this is something that he said to his children. You know, I graduated last in my class of 250 some odd. And, either I was stupid or I was a little bit distracted. But what I realized is that grades don't matter. And so, what I told my children is grades don't matter. The only thing that matters is what did you learn today that could be turned into an action that got a result? And what was the result? And don't expect the result to be, all peachy keen because, you're trying it for the first time. But that's all that really matters. Grades really don't. And then something else that I'll keep speaking as Nolan, something else I would do is when we would get together for dinner, I'd sit down with my children and I'd say, teach me something you learned today. Uh, Now, Nolan's an incredibly curious person. So it wasn't some empty question. He really wanted to know what they learned and he wanted them to teach him. And as he would say, you know, when you're really enthusiastic about what your children have learned, they get enthusiastic. And it's really amazing what they've learned. I mean, and that's so much better than asking them, how was school today? Fine. And one of the reasons, by the way, children respond that way, fine, is because they've had 50, 100 questions asked them that day. And, all those questions seem to be evaluation questions. There's a right or wrong answer. And if instead you say, teach me something that you learned today, you might get a different response. And then finally, the other tip that he gave me, and he had many more, but these are all that I remember for today. He said that every Sunday, he would take one of his, I think, 7 children, only one, and they would go to a breakfast or a brunch together. And they would go to a place that neither of them had ever been at. Uh, and and he said, you want it to be 45-minute drive because you're stuck with each other and you're stuck talking about things, uh, as opposed to going to the same delicatessen, the same restaurant as the family goes to every weekend. And he said, I drive one of my kids each Sunday. We'd drive there, we'd sit down, we'd eat, and we'd observe. And he shared the story of one time one of his daughters, and he went to a place and his daughter leaned forward and said, why are everybody looking so angry? And Nolan said, I think it's because they got off the boat. We're in a fishing village and they're tired. So I wanted to share those things with you because it's not the usual parenting advice that you hear. It's parenting advice I wish I'd followed with my children. That said, knock on wood, they've turned out pretty well. But I hope those tips help you, especially if you have young children. And I think you do well to follow Nolan's advice and see the results you get. So until next time, hope you're taking care of yourself. And thanks again for your good wishes for me. And we'll be seeing you.